Hi, Mr. P here. Welcome to the Mr. Pollard English YouTube channel, aiming to help you ace your English. If you want to join the community and get updates on new videos, then please hit the subscribe button. And if you've got any questions, then please stick them in the comments below. Right, so in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 essential quotes from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and explain what they mean and how you can use them to explore different themes or ideas in the novella. So, let's get on to quote number 1. Quote 1, as you can see here, illustrates the themes of duality of man and good versus evil. And it's from, as you can see here, chapter 10, Henry Jekyll's full statement of the case. And yet when I looked upon that ugly idol in the glass, I was conscious of no repugnance, rather of a leap of welcome. This too was myself. This, as I take it, was because all human beings, as we meet them, are commingled of good and evil. So this is Henry Jekyll kind of telling us what he saw and how he felt when he first took that option and became Edward Hyde. He separated the good from evil. By the way, repugnance is a kind of a cleverly chosen adjective. Let me explain what it means. On one hand, it means extremely distasteful, unacceptable, but it also has a meaning of being in conflict with or incompatible with. So let's just have a moment and let's just stop and have a think about this. So he's there, he's looking in the mirror at the evil side of himself, and he notes that it's ugly. However, he does not find it unacceptable, which is the first meaning of repugnance. Okay. This might be kind of surprising for us as readers, really. How can you not be disgusted by this ugly idol? The noun idol, for example, is also significant because idolatry is the worship of false gods and is a sin according to one of the 10 commandments in the Bible, which reads, "You shall have no other gods before me." So this is kind of associating Hyde with sinful behavior. Stevenson also uses this image of a leap of welcome, as though he's kind of, you leap when you're enthusiastic, when you are excited. So that seems slightly odd. Why would he behave in that way? Well, actually, he's quite excited by what he's managed to do here. Okay, so we also need to have a look at this verb commingled here, because it's an acceptance that actually human beings are a mixture of good and evil. And the idea of like cohabiting, coexistence, means that the two have to live side by side. Jekyll is seeing this really, is that actually, you have to accept that we have a good side and an evil side, and we have to live with that. Okay, quote number 2. As you can see, this illustrates the themes of religion and transformation. Let's read it. The pangs of transformation had not done tearing him before Henry Jekyll, with streaming tears of gratitude and remorse, had fallen upon his knees and lifted his clasped hands to God. This quote obviously shows the pain of the transformation from Edward Hyde back to Henry Jekyll, and actually Jekyll's kind of thankfulness that he's been able to escape being the evil Hyde. Let's have a look at the words and images. Well, first of all, pangs. This means a sudden, kind of literal, sharp pain, but it also could be kind of feelings of pain, of feelings of guilt. So maybe Stevenson is suggesting to us that it's both, because he says how the transformation is tearing him. This verb tearing is very clever, really, by Stevenson, because he's showing us how the physical pain of a transformation between Hyde to Jekyll is so unnatural. It's going against God, it's going against nature, and therefore it's painful. Maybe this is almost kind of God's punishment, like hell. For me, it kind of brings to mind these medieval paintings of hell. Let me just show you one. Now, the streaming tears of gratitude here and remorse. This gratitude, of course, is because Jekyll's really grateful and truly sorry for what he's done, which has gone against nature by splitting good and evil. And the fact that he has fallen upon his knees and lifted his clasped hands to God. He's so thankful for actually managed to escape. He goes down and he onto his knees immediately and prays. Clasped, this verb, conveys how strongly he's holding his hands together to pray to God, thanking him so much for saving himself from the evil Hyde and the evil things that he has done when he was Hyde. Okay, quote number 3. As you can see, this illustrates 3 themes: appearance, repression, reputation. Let's read it. The large, handsome face of Dr. Jekyll grew pale to the very lips, and there came a blackness about his eyes. I do not care to hear more, said he. This is a matter I had thought we had agreed to drop. Okay, well, this is the mention of Hyde. And of course, Jekyll really doesn't want to speak about it. And we can see this from the change in his appearance. Large, handsome face becomes pale to the very lips. The blackness about his eyes, being awake for a long time, or you're feeling sad, or you're carrying around a lot of feelings of guilt, then very often you get bags under your eyes. And that's kind of what this is. And the fact that he does not care to hear more because he's worried about his reputation. All right. He wants the matter to move on. He says, this is a matter I thought we had agreed to drop. Okay, quote number 4. And this illustrates themes of innocence and violence. The man trampled calmly over the child's body and left her screaming on the ground. This is from the story of the door, chapter 1. Now, this is a really short quote, easy to remember. And it's helpful for contrasting, I think, the cruelty and violence of Hyde against the innocence of the child. Look, you've got man here and child's body here. And there's something almost kind of sickening here about it, and evil about this adult inflicting extreme violence on a child due to the size and power differences. Have a look at the verb trampled, which means he doesn't just tread on the girl, but he crushes her into the ground. And then this key word here, calmly. Just think about that for a moment. Can you trample calmly? Is that not a contradiction, almost an oxymoron? Stevenson's chosen this carefully to show that this isn't an accident, that Hyde has no emotion. He's calm, he's in control. And this somehow makes it seem almost more sinister and shocking for us. The fact that he left her screaming on the ground shows his kind of malevolence, his kind of true evil. So this is another example elsewhere in the novella. If you think about Sir Danvers Carew, who's characterized as innocent, and then he's clubbed to the earth by Hyde. You could switch this one out, and I'm sure find another quote from what happens to Sir Danvers Carew to show pretty much the same point, the innocence and the violence that's going on in this novel, and the way in which Hyde just doesn't care. Okay, quote number 5 then. Now, this is a great quote to illustrate the themes of evil and transformation. Let's read it. I looked down, my clothes hung formlessly on my shrunken limbs. The hand that lay on my knee was corded and hairy. I was once more Edward Hyde. And this is from chapter 10, Henry Jekyll's full statement to the case. Now we can see that Stevenson presents Hyde as being smaller than Jekyll. Notice how my clothes hung formlessly on my shrunken limbs. Now, in part, this is to show how the evil Hyde is kind of morally lesser of a man than Dr. Jekyll. But it perhaps also illustrates Darwin's theory of evolution, because it's telling us that Hyde is primitive and less evolved than Jekyll. Maybe this image here might help. Can you see if this is Jekyll, Homo sapiens, the man, and then as we go back, becoming more and more ape-like, and obviously in stature, in size, smaller, less upright. Okay, but in terms of the clothes, you could imagine if the clothes worn by Henry Jekyll here were put on the ape here, or here they'd hang off much more. I think this is reinforced by the fact that the hand is corded, which kind of means these ridges of muscle, like an ape, almost extreme strength. Maybe this accounts for Hyde's ability to inflict, extreme violence on others, as we saw in the previous quote. But also hairy, obviously, more ape-like. So over onto our bonus quote then, which I think probably best illustrates the theme of religion. It's a way of characterizing Utterson as well, and maybe also giving us a sense of what Victorian society was like to some extent. So Utterson says, "I incline to Cain's heresy," he used to say quaintly. "I let my brother go to the devil in his own way." Now, when Utterson is saying, "I incline to Cain's heresy," he's referring to the Bible, the book of Genesis, and the story of Cain killing his brother Abel. Let me just explain what happens in that original story. So, in the book of Genesis, both brothers offer sacrifices to God. Now, God preferred Abel's sacrifice. So what Cain does in a fit of jealousy is to kill his brother Abel. When God asks where Abel is, Cain answers, "Am I my brother's keeper?" So, what does that mean for this quote? Well, Utterson means here that he does not take responsibility for other people. Cain and Abel also were joined, what we might say, yoked together. So perhaps Stevenson is also introducing us to the way that both Jekyll and Hyde will be connected, and also about the two sides of human nature being kind of joined. If you remember in an earlier quote, there was the verb commingled, this idea that they're kind of joined together, both good and evil. But I guess it's also a little bit about Victorian society, about how actually people just didn't really mind about each other's business. They just let them get on with their lives. And so these are the 5+1 key quotes that I think you need to know. If you like the video, then please subscribe. If you've got any questions, then obviously just put them in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer them. So see you next time on the Mr. Pollard English YouTube channel. Thank you. Goodbye.